There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission.
Yeah, my sister would call this spooktacular. That's what her children call it. So here we are.
Yeah, we're in the Halloween.
Yeah,
is here.
We're fully decorated here in the penthouse. The whole team, and our interior designer, Wednesday. She came through and really dolled it up for us. But yeah, so. That's it. We got a bunch of people in here tonight so far. We missed you last month, and that's why we're a few minutes late, because we forgot how to do this. This was episode what? What is this? 120 something?
126.
So yeah, take a month off, and we just forget all about it. But anyway, so yeah, we're going to do Trick or Trout tonight.
I love the title.
Yeah.
That's great.
And the little animation there was pretty solid too.
Good
you guys
stuff.
know we didn't do that. So that was the team behind the team. What
what are we talking about tonight? A little bit of fly rod action, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about setting up a fly rod.
Well,
nothing super in depth, right? But just kind of a general sense.
It's starting to get those vibes where they're starting to get cold fronts.
Mm-hmm.
Leaves are probably starting to change.
Definitely.
People are starting to think about trout fishing, ultralight stuff. Whether you're we're not here to say like, oh, you can only do it on fly, obviously, because who doesn't love throwing an ultralight for anything really? I mean, but trick or trout and the Halloween and the whole thing. So
yeah,
you're here. We're going to talk ultralight. We're going to talk about fly, and we're also going to talk about some of the more like technical stuff about it. Mainly setting up guide spacing.
Yep.
What do we need to think about for handles? And same on the fly side. The team has gone through, your dad, product development team, all this. They've gone through and done a lot of work. You've been seeing some kits come out from us, right? You've been seeing summer bass time kits. You've seen now inshore and backcountry kits. You've seen panfish, ultralight, crappie kits, right? So we're going through all of that to help narrow all this stuff down for those first-time builders. And then, of course, we also put all the resources out there, rod recipes with the guide spacing, with everything. So if you're like, I really would like to buy one, but I don't want to use that kit. Well, we've got the list. We've got everything there. And we're going to talk about a little bit about that tonight. So I'm not really jumping into housekeeping, Hunter, but
yeah, a
little bit, kind of what it was. So what was the housekeeping again? What are we doing?
Yeah. So let's run through that, right?
Yeah,
and of course, we're going to be answering y'all's questions along the way. This is going to be a fairly broad show, like Chris said. We're going to be talking about, fly rods and ultralights, but within those two types of rod builds, you can catch panfish and trout, any type of smaller freshwater species. Of course, not that we're going to touch on it too much, but the BFS style fishing has become so popular.
Yep.
That kind of fits into what we're talking about tonight. Again, we're not going to talk about the BFS specific stuff, but ultralight style fishing, right? Which, again, you could even go bass fishing. With ultralight and fly rod gear
if for any of y'all that read the blogs, the four of y'all out there, when we talked about the crappie, panfish, trout kits, one of the blanks I mentioned, in those kits, they go from 5, 6 to 7 feet. Well, one of those 7-footers, we make it in a 2-piece, but it also is in a 3-piece.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it has a different model number, it's the same blank. So I gave you guys a little nugget there. That blank, the S842, actually is a TFW 842-3. So that's the travel freshwater. We have taken that 7-footer and gone to Belize and caught bonefish and small permit on it, throwing a little tiny jig.
Mm-hmm.
So they're crappie, panfish, trout, bass, BFS, Belize, permit bonefish. So
just because it's called an ultralight doesn't mean you're catching ultralight fish.
But we
right?
love throwing light tackle.
Exactly.
And that's kind of why then we had to do this trick or trout, and it kind of gets us excited if you can't tell.
So anyway, let's dive into housekeeping. Since we did take off September, we didn't have a live show. We got quite a bit to catch you guys up on. So let's start with some new products. Like Chris mentioned, we have two new selections of rod kits that have been added to mudhole.com in the past couple months or so, couple weeks actually.
I think we try to do what, like once every 6 weeks or so?
Yeah,
8 weeks?
almost every month, almost once a month. But anyway, so one of our newer, two of our newer additions to the rod kit selection, MHX fly rod kits, right? In our traditional, not the native series, we'll probably add those soon, but the traditional MHX fly rod blanks were used in these kits, ranging from, there's 11 total kits, ranging from 3 weight all the way up to 12 weight. So you can catch, you got your 3 weight and 4 weight and 5 weight for all your trout fishing needs, and then all the way up to your 11 and 12 weight for your offshore catching marlin and sailfish and all those fun saltwater species.
And I go through and kind of, there is another, plug in the blog here, but there is one on that so that we can break it down. Because some people are like, well, why would I use the 8.6 5 weight instead of a 9 foot 5 weight? Or where do we make the jump from this is a freshwater fly blank and now this is a saltwater fly blank? Right. So we kind of go through all of that, but as Hunter said, 11 total kits in the fly rod bundle there and all the different kits. So that's it. There's one for everybody, and they're in different lengths. It's not just 9 footers through the whole way. So
we also have a good selection of new crappie, panfish, and trout rod kits. Now, all of these are going to be spinning. We don't have any casting selections in these, but 13 total kits in this series to target your panfish species and your trout. And like Chris mentioned, length ranges from 5-6 rod kits all the way up to 7-foot rod kits, including some 2-piece options mixed in there too. At least I know of one 2-piece option. So if you want something to break down a little bit into a smaller footprint, something you can travel with, maybe keep it in your truck, go fishing after work if you want to. That 2-piece, I know we have a 7-foot 2-piece option available in those rod kits.
Cool.
So good stuff there. Moving on, point blank rod blanks. So this is something we released a few months ago, but I feel like it's worthy of another mention. In the Katana series, there's actually 3 series within point blank now. Katana, Tonto, and Kira.
Is it just me, or do we think that Bill over at Angler Resource put these names in here so that Hunter had to pronounce them?
Tonto, I love that one. That's a good one. Kira and Katana, good stuff there. Good naming conventions
well done,
for
Bill.
sure.
Well done. I see you working.
Katana series is 32 models, expansive series, freshwater, inshore. More than likely, if you're in those 2 categories, which are huge buckets of fishing applications, you're going to find a model in the Katana series. I think those range from 6.5 foot all the way up to 8 foot, I believe. The Tonto series has 4 models. They're all 6'3". Those range those are jigging blanks, specifically micro jigging blanks, actually. They start at a 20 gram and go up to a 120 gram. So 4 models in that. And then last but not least, the Kira. 6 models in this one. This is going to be more of your traditional jigging, slow pitch, those types of things, ranging from length 7-footers up to 8-footers. And that's going to be in your 50 gram class all the way up to 400 gram class. So big range of lure weights there. Last but not least, and actually a few very popular models that we released a few weeks ago in the American Tackle, the MHX BA3K series. We've added 2 new models in the 8-foot length. One of which, unfortunately, is already sold out. The 20 to 40 is a hot commodity around the local area here in Orlando and up and down the east coast of Florida. So 8-footers, 2 options, a 20 to 40 and a 30 to 50. So really popular models, great price points too. Those blanks retail for I think about 125 to 130 bucks.
Cool.
Phenomenal blank for the value. So if you guys are interested in that 20 to 40 model, make sure you hit the email reminder button on the product page, and you'll be the first to be notified when those come back into stock, which shouldn't be too much longer.
Yeah.
All right.
So we had an advanced rod building technique seminar We're going to do a little recap. There were some, Hunter and I do the live show, right? But we're not important enough to do this.
No.
And
Nowhere near.
so we had the real pros in. So what we do is we do it once a year, right?
Correct. Technically twice this year, but the February advanced class was held at that time because it was postponed from last year. So
Oh, right. Okay, so the advanced rod building deal is a 3-day?
2.5.
2.5, right. But it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Correct.
So it's over the course of 3 days, but we're not hammering you like it's like traffic school. It's not like 8 to 5 all day long. But we had presenters like Bill Faulkner, Mary and Wes Christie. We had Mike Garone in there. There was an incredible collection of people that did custom cork work, that did custom carbon grips. They answered questions. They did marbling. They did grip burning. They did all kinds of stuff. It was such a big deal here at Mudhole that we closed the showroom at noon on Friday?
Noon on Friday, all day Saturday.
I mean, locked it down. If you were in, you were in, and if you weren't, you had to try to watch from the sliding glass doors, which we don't allow. So I'm just kidding. But anyway, it's an incredibly cool seminar. I think we were like 2 people from selling out. And it was 48 people were here, I think? Something like that.
Total 80. 80 total tickets.
Oh, 80 total.
Yeah.
No wonder they don't let me here. I don't know what's going on. Anyway.
Full house.
So yeah, 80 total tickets, and there's something going on the whole time. I even think they give them like a little bit of a, back room tour. You get to, touch
Everybody
things.
got a little welcome goodie bag with
Right.
some good stuff in there.
I love it. So anyway, it's really, really cool. We're going to do it again next year. You get to come here to World Headquarters. You get to see the whole place, and you get to learn just completely invaluable stuff from the best. You would have to watch all 126 episodes of this show to get what you can get in 3
And you still
days.
might not.
Yeah, and right, and we fall short, promise you. So keep an eye out for it. It is worth it. It was, it's just a full house. So anyway, we are going to start doing more cool things. And we recently, I don't know if anybody noticed, but we had C.A. Richardson here recently. He came in, did a full talked about inshore stuff and baits and lures and whatnot. And then we opened up the showroom and let everybody kind of see what the new tackle center is like, which is, kid in a candy store kind of thing. So coming soon, though, is going to be the Mudhole Block Party. That's going to be November 15th. It's going to start at 10 a.m. We've got 30 plus vendors. It's, of course, going to be here at Mudhole. It's going to be indoors and outdoors. We're going to have vendors with gear, tackle, outdoor products, from everything from like fishing reels to lures. And it's big names like Baits and Daiwa, Florida Fishing Products, Bahio Sunglasses. We have local guides for inshore guides, bass fishing guides. I think Big Show might even be here.
Gonna be here.
So it's going to be cool. There's going to be food trucks. We're going to have barbecue. We're going to put Kevin in the dunk tank, I think. Is that what we're going to do?
That's a great
I think
idea.
actually, we're not going to have a dunk tank, but we're going to make Kevin go out on the lake on a paddleboard, and then you just get to lob giant topwater baits at him. I'm kidding. So anyway, it's going to be great because it's going to be local stuff. There's going to be nonprofits here, and everybody that we support. It's going to be cool. We're pretty excited about it. And that is November 15th, and it is a zero cost.
Yes.
All you got to do is show up.
Zero. Just show up.
That's
We're
it.
going to have giveaways. There's going to be tons and tons of product promotions.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, this is the week before Black Friday. Hint,
Yes.
hint, wink, wink. We're going to have a lot of really good deals, a lot of great promos, and again, some awesome giveaways too.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah, it's going to be a great time.
Speaking of giveaways, we're going to do some giveaways tonight throughout the show. We're going to do a fly guide set for the first giveaway. Then we're going to do a Mudhole or MHX fly rod blank of choice. Both of them are really cool. The Mudhole is the color series, and there's 3 different. There's a 3, a 5, and an 8 weight. I'll show you one over here in a little bit. And then we have the MHX Fly blanks. There's a bunch of them from, 3 weight to 12 weight.
Correct.
So a bunch of different options. And then, of course, the grand prize tonight is going to be an MHX traditional fly rod kit, which is what you had talked about earlier. And speaking of fly rods, why don't we just go ahead and get into this whole shebang here? I thought it was kind of funny because there was even somebody who said they were new here. And they said, I'm new here. Whoops. Looks like we're running. There we go. He said, hi, first time here. Do they only talk? Or do they build stuff?
You got a lot to learn.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I will say, we usually take about 12 to 15 and maybe, 20 minutes tonight. We had to catch you guys up on some stuff. This is the pattern of the show. So welcome. I hope you have stuck around through 17 minutes and 4 seconds of this. But now we're going to get into some stuff. All right, Hunter Man, give me your favorite, because we've done a little trout fishing.
Oh, we have.
We've done a little of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Are you a 9-foot guy? Like, what's your favorite blank? Give me a little background.
Oh man, that's.
And maybe
okay.
you can even give me 2. But
Yeah.
do you I get questions all the time where guys are going like, do I need a 7.6? Do I need an 8-footer?
Yeah.
Do I need an 8.6? Because we've got them all in the traditional series.
Yeah.
7.6, an 8, an 8.6, a 9. What are you thinking?
The answer to that question is so much harder than if you were to ask me, what's your favorite spinning rod or favorite
that's why
casting
I
rod?
asked you.
It's hard to really pick a singular fly rod, because the applications can be so different, right?
Yep.
It could be the case to where if we're trout fishing and there's overhang or there's trees behind us and it's real tight quarters and the creek or the stream or the river's not very wide.
Yeah.
I like going a little bit shorter. Like, I don't mind an 8.6, but not all the weight, not all the fly weights are available in an 8.6, right? We have, a limited range there. So if I had to pick one, it's got to be the 9-foot 5-weight.
Okay.
That is the best all around, do it all. You can go, catch bass in ponds. You can catch some panfish in ponds. You can go trout fishing with it. You could do a lot with it. You could even probably go out in the flats and really, hook into a big fish and test it out.
Yep.
But that 9-foot 5-weight is really, it's got to be the best all around. And what's funny about trout, or not trout fishing, but even fly fishing more specifically, is a shorter rod is not always something I would go to if I'm in super close quarters. And that contradicts what I said a few minutes ago. But what I mean by that is, and especially when you and I and Taylor Bellinger went up to North Carolina a few years ago and fished, those streams up there are very narrow, right? Yeah. It's a lot of roll casting. You're not even doing a lot of full, backhand or whatever they call it, cast, right? Yeah. I did a lot of roll casting, and funny enough, in a small stream, if you're a talented roll caster, a longer rod is actually more beneficial.
Sure.
It allows you to manipulate that line, get a longer roll cast in a lot of ways, where a shorter rod, a 7.6, or even shorter than that, maybe even a 7.6, a little more difficult to roll cast with.
For sure.
Right? So it kind of depends on the width of the stream.
Especially if you have an indicator and you've got multiple flies and things like that.
Yeah. So again, personal preference, as most things we talk about on this show, but I'd pick the 9-foot 5-weight. It's a really good all-purpose, versatile, can go do a lot of things with it. And in certain cases, I do like going down to even like that 7.6. I think we have, what's the...
we have a 7.6 and a 7.9 in the natives.
In the natives.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I don't think I fished those particularly, but yeah.
No, you did, because remember I brought one, and when we were fishing that dry fly, we caught that big. That
you're right.
was the 7.6 3-weight.
Yeah.
And that, though, was different because we were not roll casting. And although we had the room to have a 9-footer, we were actually trying to make a very accurate cast. And I don't remember what those kinds of trees and bushes or whatever. It reminded me of like mangroves hanging over the river.
Overhang, yeah.
And of course, we were not under a canopy, and we had the ability to make a back cast and deliver it. But you remember a couple of those fish that were feeding on dry flies.
Right.
and rising, they were under the bushes. So stand and have a 9-footer, right? Well, you got to tighten the loop up a little bit and get it under there. Having the 7, and that's why I bring the 763 for a dry fly rod, because we just know that where we fish in Western North Carolina, they have overhangs, they have things like that. Whereas if you're fishing a dry fly on a big giant river out west or something, and there's no cover, there's no laydowns, you're not going to have to sneak something underneath it. But so anyway, I particularly like a couple. We got an 864 weight here that's really, really cool. I'm a 4-weight person. I don't know why, and maybe it's just because I like the MHX traditional 9-foot 4-weight. I do, we're also a Sage premium dealer, so we carry Sage fly blanks too. They have great 4-weights, and I love those as well. But I'm a 9-foot 4-weight kind of person. I feel like I can do everything in Western North Carolina and bluegill fishing and all that stuff with the 4-weight. A couple things here I want to kind of go over. And this is a really great point here. There's no one fly rod. Same reason I have 30 casting and spinning rods.
That's
cool.
a great point.
Awesome, Mike. Let's get you hired. We'll get you in here and start selling some stuff. But no, absolutely. Dave, let me answer this real quick because I don't want this to go away. Question. I'd like to start building fly rods for my grandchildren. They're young now but want to start them early. What is the best small blank or kit to use? So we have a couple options. The 9-foot, the mud hole like color series blanks, they're all going to be 9 feet. And depending on their age, that 9-footer is going to be kind of hard to swing around. You can go into the traditional series and start getting into some of those shorter lengths. You'd be surprised, like just going from a 9 to a 7.6 in a lightweight, you're going to be like, okay, that makes a huge difference. And of course, they're going to be working on casting before they're ever going to be fighting fish, right? I do believe that it is a good idea to maybe you hook a fish and then, of course, let them experience the whole like fighting a fish on a fly rod. But having that 7.6, we've got them here. I would start there and like short string and just let them, get a feel for it there. I'm going to say that the 9-footer is going to be difficult for them to handle. It's going to get them off plane because it's just going to be a lot to handle. So I would stick with the short one. A couple tips here I wanted to talk about. So this is, I'm gonna tattle on myself here really quick. So, and I wanted to shout out because we always like to give credit where credit is due. We talk about Wes and Mary Christie on the show a lot. We talk about Don a lot. But I wanted to touch on something here. If you notice on this ferrule here, and you might be able to see it or you might not. So this blank is green, okay? But there's a little section out here on this ferrule that's not painted. All right? None of our blanks are like this. But I didn't want you to see it and then go, well, what is that? So all of our rod blanks from the natives to the mud hole color series to the traditionals are all going to be painted. You have probably, though, seen fly rods that have this section of the male side of the ferrule, there's no paint on it, right? TFO does this a lot. Some blanks that have a spigot ferrule will be like that, but that is not this. We actually were in the process of developing the mud hole color series blanks, fly blanks, and we didn't know which colors we wanted to go with. So we called Don and we said, Don, we're going to need you to paint fly blanks in all of the colors of the mud hole color series, and they have to match perfectly because we want to see how they look on fly blanks, and we're going to go fish them and we're going to look at them or whatever. And Don said, no problem. So he is so good at this, and that's why I'm giving him props. Nobody knows this, right? And you can't ever tell unless the rod blanks are apart. So here they are. But I wanted to mention that for a couple reasons. In case you see this, this is not a mistake on other series of rod blanks. There's a lot of times where they leave this. If it actually helps to not clear this, if they are putting a really, really high gloss coat on it, and it wears a little bit better when some manufacturers put a really heavy clear coat. The Mudhole Color Series blanks, the Natives, and the Traditional Series do not have a heavy clear coat on them. It's very, very thin, and all the ferrules are fitted with the paint in mind. So it's not a situation of, okay, we have to leave this like this. So you might see it on certain manufacturers. I don't want you to think one way or another about ours or theirs. So that's why that is. Now, I did want to talk a little bit about handle assembly. There is a situation where under this hood, actually, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to show you another one. So this is what's called an inletted hood, okay? The part of this top hood, it looks the exact same as it does on a spinning seat, except it is designed to fit inside of this cork. Please keep in mind when you are fitting the cork down onto this reel seat, there are some reel seats that this is open, okay? And if you're not paying attention, you could shove a bunch of glue down into here, right? All of our American Tackle fly seats that we have, the metal, all aluminum ones that are in all of our kits, are closed off, so you don't have to worry about that. But I'm just giving you a warning if you start playing with, fancy wood seats and things like that. We also have a seat. Here, Hunter, I'll let you take this. We also have a seat that does not have an inletted hood, okay? So this is now the hood that is designed to be exposed. Oh, look, it's the old CRB product seat, right? So it's designed to be just butted right up to the cork. This is also a cork grip that we're working on. It's custom. And you'll also notice this is a slate blank. There's no high gloss coating on this. This is a MHX traditional blank here. And I actually think it's one of the 4 weights. But we're just making a custom handle, and we're stacking our cork rings before we shape it down. So just a couple things to watch out for when you are tackling your first fly rod blanks. I want to talk about real quick too, and I want to show you, we have to talk about ferrules. Okay? So, as I mentioned before, here's your ferrules in this area. We always recommend putting a ferrule wrap on the female side of the ferrule. Now, if you really want to get picky and pay a lot of attention to this, I suggest to try to keep them as close as possible in like wrap length. That one got a little, long, but if you read and you hear, there are people that will say the ferrule length needs to be 1.5 times the diameter of the rod blank. I think we're splitting hairs at that point. Like, I really think that we don't need to get out, our micrometer, mic this, do a little math, whatever. Now, I'm not saying to cover this whole piece right here, right? But, you can eyeball this, all right? So if that looks like about 1.5 times the diameter of your rod blank where the ferrule's at, then have at it. A lot of questions come from, speaking of ferrules and multi-piece, everybody's going to ask, well, what about spining the rod blank in a multi-piece? Putting all of the spining arguments aside, okay, whether you spine your blanks or you don't, I understand that. And you can, feel free to argue amongst yourselves. For those that want to spine their rod blanks, do each section individually, and then you come together. So you're going to take this rod blank here, section. This is the tip section. You're going to roll it on a flat surface. You can kind of see it jumping a little there. You can see those guides kind of down there near the table. Right? It'll roll and kind of snap into place. All right, so you would mark this, and then you set it aside. That's the tip section. Go to the second section. you're going to do the same thing, right? Roll it. Now, you don't want to do it once you have already wrapped this here, but you also don't want to force this down too hard on the table. This is just a 4-weight. You don't have to get aggressive to it. We don't need to crush ferrules. Just check it. You're going to mark it. Now, there is a really good chance that when you get down into the third section, that there is little to zero flex. You can find it a little bit, but don't worry about it. Do not sweat if you cannot flex the butt section or the third section, all right? Just don't worry about it. I would line up the tip, the second section, make sure they're aligned, and then for those that are also anti-spiners, check the straightest axis on this blank section and this blank section, match those, then take your straightest axis sections and match them with your two tip sections or your mid and tip section that are already spined. And you kind of have the best of both worlds. You don't have to sweat it. You don't have to get in a fist fight in the parking lot over it. And that's how you do that. So this being a 4-weight, you're going to typically see one double-footed stripper, and then you go down to your wire guides. Now, some people might ask, why are you not using double-footed snakes on this? Why are you using single foots? It's just because I wanted to. There's really not a whole heck of a lot. Sorry, they're just you're gonna chase me around a little. There's not a whole heck of a lot. Like I'm not here to tell you that you should always use snakes. You should always use single foots. Now I will say, for all of those that know how much that I do not like color preserver, you can see I got that red nylon 325. That's that Pro Wrap color nylon size A. You can see the guide foot through it. The red looks really, really pretty.
Darkened up quite a bit as well.
Yep.
Because, yeah, the 325 is not a dark red by any means.
No.
It's a medium.
But it's really nice.
Medium red.
So the single foots, they do well for me. I'm also not fighting a tarpon on them. I believe that if you have knots in your leaders that you reel into your guides, or if you have, a backing loop or a backing knot or whatever, it is my opinion that the knots go in and out of snake guides a little bit better. And the reason I believe that is, even though the snake guide is somewhat at a 90-degree angle, like this top wire is at a 90-degree angle to the rod blank, right? So when the knot comes up and it hits like a flat spot, and sometimes you can hear it and it's like bing, There's a lot of snake guides that still have a little bit of an angle, and I feel like the knots do not slam into the edge of a single foot guide. I can promise you I've done little to no research on it, but I can promise you that I've had, I see my backing a lot. That's just because of where I fish in South Florida, and we catch bonefish, permit, tarpon. We're seeing the backing a lot. All my saltwater rods do have snake guides on them, double-footed snakes, and not single-foot wire guides. So that's just me. Again, I'm sure there's tons and tons of things we can argue about, but yeah, but that's that.
Yeah.
You got anything else? Oh, I do want to talk about the placing your stripper guide, but
yeah.
What you
the
got?
one thing I'd add in there, and this is anecdotal information, is although it's rare, occasionally there will be guys that actually use ceramic ring guides all the way out to the tip. Right?
Mm-hmm. I've met people like that.
You know where I'm going with this. So traditionally, you're going to see wire guides, right, for anything past your stripping guide, like Chris mentioned, your double foot stripping guide. That's common. That's a staple. After you get past this first guide, butt guide, you're going to move on to your quote unquote running guides. We'll call them, right?
Sure.
Traditionally, wire guides, single foots, or double foot wire snake guides. Like I said, though, there are some guys that prefer to go all ceramic ring guides all the way out to the tip. For some reasons, which I agree with. One of those being, more than likely your fly line, your very expensive fly line,
Yep.
$50 to $100, if not more than that.
Oh, we're up to 179 now.
179, pushing $200 fly lines.
Yep.
You want to protect those things at any cost, right? You want to have longer longevity, and all those good things we want out of our fly lines. And wire guides probably are a little bit harsher than a ceramic guide, right? And I agree with that. The downside is if you are fishing in freezing conditions, meaning anything around the 32-degree mark.
Yep. For those that are Fahrenheit.
If you're going to be using that rod in freezing conditions, at any point, avoid using ceramic guides. They will freeze up much faster, much quicker than the wire guides or the snake guides. And that's simply because the inside diameter, the opening of that ceramic guide ring is probably going to be smaller as opposed to, a traditional wire guide that's going to have no ring and more than likely going to have a larger inside diameter inside of the actual frame of the guide. So obviously a smaller ID, it's going to be more prone to freezing in those, very, very frigid temperatures. So
Yeah, so don't do it.
that's a first-hand pro tip that I learned with fishing with Chris and Taylor up in the tundra of western North Carolina in December. My guides constantly froze up for the first couple hours of the morning until it got to 35, 36 degrees, which is still really cold. But once you reach that point, or even especially up to 40 degrees air temp, typically your guides aren't freezing up anymore.
Not nearly as bad.
If they're anywhere around the 32-degree mark or lower, or even like 34 degrees, more than likely you're having to fight those freezing guides.
I can hear him cussing from like.
It's not fun when you're, obviously you're already cold, and you're trying to stay a little warm, but then you're also having to fight, ice in your guides, and that is no fun.
No. I will mention, Brian here had a comment. I used the single foot recoil guides. Absolutely. I do like recoil guides for a lot of things. The single footers are a great idea. I also agree that the single footers are nice on your lower weights with the recoils. As Hunter was saying, to get ice out of recoil guides, it's great because they flex and you can actually flex them and pop the ice out of them if you need to. They do flex a little bit, so they give some forgiveness if your knots and backing and such is coming in and out. Also, they're a nickel titanium alloy, so they're pretty much corrosion proof. About as corrosion proof as you're going to get. So if you are using them in salt water, absolutely. So yeah, they're great. I really like them. Some people complain that they're noisy. With today's fly lines, there are smooth fly lines and then there's textured fly lines. There are times, even with the smooth fly lines, that the recoils can be noisy. I rarely find that it is the running recoils. It tends to be the recoils that are the stripper recoils. Loomis years ago used to put the double-footed big spinning recoils on. This was before the Ceracoils came out, the ones that have the ceramic insert in it that you guys have seen. We sell them. Loomis uses them. Scott uses them on their fly rods. Hardy uses them on their fly rods, saltwater rods. So it takes away some of that noise, but you still have the recoils out. That's a really great option. There was another comment. I wanted to touch on this too. Are you guys locking your guides with thread wraps? Yeah, we're putting, well, let me take that back because I'm actually not quite sure if you are talking about a locking wrap or if you're just talking about wrapping the guides to the rod. So yes, we're using thread wraps to attach the guides to the rod. And then of course, we're putting rod finish over the top. I am not somebody that likes the locking wrap. I think it's what, a forehand locking wrap?
Forehand.
Forehand?
I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah.
Rich,
forehand.
right. So Rich developed it. Totally nothing against Rich. I just don't do it. But no, I don't use any locking wraps. I don't think you use any.
No.
No. So we don't use the locking wrap, but we are, of course, wrapping the guides with thread.
Yeah. So there's definitely a time and a place for a locking wrap. In a fly rod specifically, or actually any of the rods that we're going to be talking about tonight, fly rods, ultralight rods. I think the locking wrap is a little overkill.
Yeah.
These rods are not going to get stressed to the point to where, in our opinion, you need a locking wrap. Now, we're talking about, heavy flipping sticks, heavy freshwater rods, inshore. There's definitely a time and a place for those locking wraps, especially if you're using like really, heavy 50, 60, 80 pound braid possibly, especially if you're using smaller guides, right? If we're using size 6s, 5s, micro guides, that's where I would definitely, go in and probably do a locking wrap.
Yeah.
If we're talking about bigger guides, 20s, 30s, even 16s, 12s, bigger the guide, I really don't think locking wrap is always needed.
Yeah.
But some of the smaller guides definitely doesn't hurt. I'll put it that way.
I think, though, too, now it really doesn't necessarily come into this, even though we have caught some big fish on 4 weights up there. It might come in saltwater. I would probably rather, if I got a knot or a tangle, and we've had this happen, of all my single foots, I would probably rather the knot and tangle snatch all the guides off the rod blank than maybe possibly break my fly rod, and I could just go back and wrap them. Now, there's times that, since we typically use double-footed snakes, it doesn't snatch the guides off. If you get a tangle going out, it will pull the sections apart. But I can promise you, I've seen guides ripped out before I've seen sections come apart. We've had to try to pull sections apart, and usually if it's under load and it's whatever. So if you're using single foot guides in saltwater, I wouldn't do it. I'd rather the guides get all snatched off than to blow up your rod. I mean, it is what it is at that point, but.
Yeah, if you have a really good thread wrap on there, and then honestly, the epoxy is really that's your kind of safety net.
It takes a lot of force to snatch a guide out.
It does. To my recollection, I do not think I've had a single guide ever pull out that wasn't my own fault. I've stepped on guides, I've mushed them, I've done everything possible you probably can to a rod or a guide, and really abuse some of my tournament rods. But just looking down and seeing like a loose guide and then pulling it out, or if I was fighting a fish and had a guide pop out, that's not happened. So
no, I can promise you, I've never had one pull out. That's for sure.
Yep.
So
cool.
Let's give away. We got a question here about single foot guides, and let's give away a kit. You want to give away a kit? I think you're ready for somebody's name here. I think
Fly guide kit of choice.
Yep.
Cool. Giveaway number 1. Let's run that giveaway and let's see who we got. So as usual, we'll have a first name, last initial, Harry W. Stand by for that last name. We'll get a call in for the war room. They'll give us that last name for security purposes. Got to lock down our security around here. Ultra tight,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That's not the reason at all. Harry W. Oh boy. Oh, okay.
Actually, that's funny. I think that's the first time that's ever happened.
Harry W. Dixon.
Nice.
All right, so the W looks like a middle name there.
Yeah.
So Harry Dixon.
All right.
Harry W. Dixon. That's
perfect.
Good name there. Congrats, Harry.
Yep. Real quick, before we move on, I want to do this really fast. Let's see. What size single foot guides would you use for a 9-foot 5-weight? So I would, if we're talking about, if we're going against what Hunter said, and we're talking about using a single foot ceramic guide, I would really never use smaller than a 6 on really any weight.
No, I agree completely.
If I am using a single foot wire guide, I'm probably on a 5-weight going to use a 1 or maybe a 1.0. They make them down to like, I think a 2.0 or a 3.0. That's just too small for me. I would probably though use a 1.0, but remember they're like stepped, right? So on that rod blank, the 4-weight that we had is going to be like a double-footed 12 or a 10, and then you're going to go to like a 5, a 4, a 3, 2, or you can go like 5, 3, 2 or something. But the last 4 or 5 runner guides are all going to be the same size. So you can adjust in there. You can go like a 12 double footer to a 5, to a 3, to a 2, and then 1s or 1.0s. Now also keep in mind, the 10 or the 12 double footed ceramic is millimeters to the frame. All the fly guides, like 5s and 6s and 4s and 3s, there's no rhyme or reason why they call it a 2 or a 1.0 or a 3. It's the same with recoils. For those that have bought recoils, REC, like, come on, guys. Like, the ring on an REC, if it's a 7, that is not 7 millimeter. They have their own fancy calculations of what the size is, and it ain't that. So it's the same with wire fly guides. So yeah, that's, if you're using the ones with a ceramic, use what? What did I say?
Sixes.
A 10 or a 12.
Oh,
and then down to your singles. Work it down with a little bit of a taper and run 6s.
Do not go below 6s because you're going to have to worry about knots.
Yeah, don't ever, like ever go below 6s. Let's see. Real quick. I thought, yeah, well, I'm doing 5 weights, get 1 stripper. 6 weights, get 1 stripper guide. 7 weight starts to that's where you can kind of bridge. Now, if you find a saltwater 6 weight from a factory, like Sage will have like right now they have a Salt R8. That 6 weight probably has 2 strippers on it. The 7 weight's going to have 2 strippers. The 7 weight, you need to do like a 16 and a 12, and then you go down to your snakes. An 8 weight needs to have a 16 and a 12, unless you want to upsize it a little for saltwater. That needs to go 20 to a 12 and then down. I don't get into 3 stripper guides until either a 9 or a 10 weight. Some companies do 3 on a 9. I don't necessarily think it's necessary. But 10, 11, 12, all that's going to have 3 strippers, and it's going to be like, you know, a 20 or a 25. I've never put a 25, but it'll be a 20, 16, 12, and then out. So yeah, that's kind of your whatever. Yeah. Whoops. What are we going to talk about? Oh, let me do this real quick.
Yeah.
Speaking of stripper guides, this is a 9 weight. I do not do this on freshwater fly rods, but I do this on.
You do.
I do this on a saltwater. Actually, can I do this in front of the deflection chart? Just so, because I'm like working below my waist a little here. Can I? Okay. All right. Follow me over here. So, this is not me. You're going to need to zoom out a little too, because you need to see my waist. So, when you are doing your guide spacing, we provide you guide spacing for all of this stuff. Have your 9 weight. Some people have longer arms, some people have shorter arms. I'm sorry, I'm throwing these guys for a loop, so just bear with me as I go through this. Some people have longer arms, some people have shorter arms. In saltwater, the first shot is always the best, right? If you've got bonefish, redfish, permit, it doesn't matter. First shot is always the best shot. The follow-up shot is very, very important, okay? If you can't make it on the first one, you better make it on the second. And if you can't make it on the second, then we're going to wait for the next fish to come, right? Take a sip of your beer and we're going to try it again. On this, most of the time, for your follow-up shot, you are going to be reaching out and pulling a lot of line off the water, okay? Most of the time they call it a water haul. I also use the term bracing. I did not invent that term, so please don't come for me on that, which is fly rod in hand, the butt of your rod against your forearm. It gives you a lot of leverage force. When you do that, you're fishing out, you take all the slack out of your line. Rods against like this, reach out, and it's all one big motion. And you water haul it off the water. So I want that stripper guide from when I'm going to make a very important follow-up. I want like a flexed arm here against it. I want to reach out as far as I can reach. That's where I want my stripper. You see my stripper's right there? I think you can see it. Yeah. That's where I want my stripper. Because I do not want to go like in the heat of a moment and Hunter's yelling like, do you see him? Yeah, I see him. And I reach out and I grab the rod and I grab the stripper guide. Okay? I want to just, without even looking, reach out and I've got it right here and it's all one motion. Because this is part of your double haul, right? Water loading, out, reach there. That's how you find out where that stripper guide needs to go.
Cool.
So there it is.
Great tip.
Yeah, and that is, we don't do that in freshwater. It's all 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's all that. So that is a, whatever. What do you want to do now?
Let's do ultralight
layout?
guide train layouts.
All right.
What you got? Because I got some guide sets here. So we're going to be showing, Chris is going to do some changing of rods over there. Get that ready. What we're going to be talking about here is we're going to be highlighting these American Tackle guide kits. And so the great thing about these guide kits is we have these available in tons and tons of different options, spinning and casting and double foot, all kinds of stuff, right? Specifically on the high frame side, we have these available in where the stripping guides are at 16 highs, or 16H, a 20H, and a 25H. And what's great about that is when you look on the website, on the product page, you can actually look at our chart, and depending on what size spool or what size reel you are using, you can then choose the appropriate guide set. So for instance, if you're using, say a size 1000, possibly to like a size 1500 or 2000, you want to go with the 16H.
Yep.
Once you get to the 2500 size spool or even a 3000, you're going to want to go with a 20H.
Right.
And then obviously anything above, a 3000, once you get up into 4000, 5000, then that's when you're going to bump up to that 25H.
Right.
So,
another cool feature.
Yep, go for it.
Spin this guy around.
Yeah, so
We have a QR code on the back. Scan it. Going to take you to the American Tackle Guide information. Okay. Ooh, we forgot about glare, did we? Holy cow. This was my idea, and that's why it's not working well.
Right there, just don't move.
Don't move. So then we select our high, Tyforge high frame guide kit.
Bang. And there's all your spacing.
There it is. Now also, you're going to see rod length. You're going to see rear grip length. And then you're going to see all your other stuff for all the guides, right? So there we have it.
Yep. 2 clicks of a button on your cell phone after you scan that QR code, and there's all your spacing. So if you guys do have trouble, picking individual guides for your guide train, or maybe you're building a rod that you're just not familiar with, maybe it's like a 6-footer or even like an 8-footer, and you're like, I don't know how many guides, I don't know what size guides. Check out these American Tackle guide kits. We have them in a wide range of applications and techniques now.
Yep.
And again, we got the guide spacing. We give you so much information to make it easy to, take these guide kits and put them on your next custom rod.
For sure. And we're going to talk a real quick little nugget here about why to use guide spacing and what can happen when it's not good guide spacing. Hunter, man, if you want to hold that. So we here are using some high frame stuff. Now, when you go through this, you have to understand that a lot of these ultralight blanks, you're thinking like, okay, well, it's only a 5.6 or a 6-footer. It's lightweight. I probably can get away with less guides, or I probably don't have to. No. We have to be careful, okay? Because These blanks, they're lighter in power, thinner wall diameters. You have to be careful that you have enough guides on this to avoid the like sharp angle situation, okay? When you deflect a rod blank that does not have enough guides on it, go right here. Can we see that? Yeah, sort of. Do you see the angle of that thread? And look at the gap here. Like, I could put my hand through that. That's ridiculous, right? Look at the gap. So there's your guide, and then it just goes here to this. There needs to be a guide there. So if there was a guide there, and I know that this isn't perfect, and I wish I could like stand in front of it. Ooh, a little better. So there needs to be a guide there, right? There also probably should be a guide here, right? So we take all of this stuff into account when we create these kits. It's not, Bob just is not in there just relaxing and just putting numbers in an Excel spreadsheet. We come through and we go like, all right, well, what happens if we just do this and this is bad? See, there needs to be a guide there. There are times when people go like, oh man, I bought this rod and it's really bad and it breaks on me and all this. I can assure you that spacing that is that poor will cause a rod to blow up because you're going to have a weird flex point on it and it's going to create a sharp angle. Now, we need to discuss why you need to use the 16 or the 20 or whatever. There's a couple things behind that. I am somebody that loves high frame guides. I love American Tackle Tie 4s. I love Fuji high frames. I like all of it. I'm going to show you why. So we've got the CRB foam core board here.
The foam background board.
The foam background board. Now I'm going to show you this is actually one of mine out of the boat and why it's good.
So I'll go right here.
Yeah, we'll go like this.
I'll probably
hold
need
me
to
there.
Hold.
Yeah. Slide it down a little.
Okay.
Now, when we talk about, and of course this has yellow braid on it, which is stupid of me. Or it's actually a copper color. So if you, oh no, we can see it. All right. So there's a couple things about this that we have to pay attention to when we're trying to make sure that we have our guides in the proper spot here. All right. If you come over here just into the reel. So there are times, and Fuji Angler's Resource talks about, you can take the spool off and you can tie your braid to that center axis, right? Because there's a center shaft under here. What you can also do is you can also align your line roller to be in line with that center axis. I think that's about it. Okay. It's going to come out of the center of the spool. Now, granted, it's out here a little bit, but it's going to come out of the center of the spool, and then we're going to come up here. All right? Now, we want to be, on this first guide here, this is your first stripper. So this is a 20 high. All right? If you kind of look, that line is about from in the center to a hair down on the guide, just a little bit, right? That's where you want it. Now, I can tell you that from the spool of that reel to this first guide ring is like 19 5/8 or 19 3/4. The only reason I can do that is because on a Daiwa BG 2500 to a 20 high, that's the distance. We are taking into account, come back here to the reel for me. And actually, can you go wide, Uncle Phil, to that? Yeah. So if you're going to look, the back part of this spool is farther away than the front part of this spool. So there is an angle of attack where the reel is going to come up, right? And obviously me going like this is a much steeper angle than this reel is. But you have to understand that every manufacturer is different, right? And the angle of attack of this 2500 BG is going to be different than a 500 size reel of another manufacturer. And that's where I'm going with all this in the ultralights. No, this is not an ultralight, right? But we gotta get there. So come out of the center of the spool. It's going to go through the center of this guide. It's going to go through the center of this 12. Now, if you come out here, sometimes I use a 6, so the other two are highs. You got to use a low here, in my opinion. This is not the 100%, for sure. I use a low here. Sometimes I use a 6, sometimes I use a 7, depends on what we got. But you can use a 6 or a 7 if you then are coming to the single foot runners, which is a 6 or a 5. These are 6s. I use 6s. So keep in mind, though, you see there's a little bit of an angle here, but that's just because it's coming out straight. In reality, when we draw this straight line coming off the reel, we're imagining that this line is going to come up and cross the blank. It's just going to keep going and leave like that, right? So yeah, it's going to go out here and it's going to do all those, but we're just going to imagine it's going to leave there and it's going to come out this way. So if I pick that line up a little bit and touch the blank at the intersection point, you can see where it leaves the bottom of this guide and then it comes up center where it's in line with all of its other previous, right? So that's kind of how we do that. Hunter, hold that for me.
Mm-hmm.
We can also do, if you don't have line and braid and such, we can use this ice rod blank sort of to show. You just got to come down and put it right on your kind of center axis. And let me pick it up here a little bit. Then you can kind of see where it's going to come up and intersect. Oh, right there. So you see it's shooting through, it's coming up. Again, we're trying to work off the CRB foam board here, so it's not perfect, but it gives you a pretty good idea. I'm running out of room here with my, and of course I didn't go through this one, that's why it looks a little, but that's about it right there. Now, it's okay for me for the line to be a little lower on the guide than higher. I don't want the line to be up in the top of the ring. I can live with it being a little down. You also have to understand that when we talk about ring size from a 20, this is the 16.
Mm-hmm.
From a 20 to a 16, it's not always about height. It is a little about height, obviously, but it also has to do with the opening. The opening of that guide relates to the outside spool diameter of that 2500. Okay? So I'm not gonna get into the calculus and physics and all of that stuff. Angler's Resource does a really great job with all this, and there's even a formula that you can follow. I'm like a kind of look and see and feel kind of guy. So we could make this 16 work. If it's not as tall, you'd have to slide out a little to get it to work. That's not enough. You'd have to slide it out here, probably more, right? To get it to shoot through. Now we're shooting through. But in my opinion, now we've opened up a little bit too large of a gap here, right? And then this has got to slide out, but then it's not going to be the right height. We'd have to adjust this and all that. I've just, from trial and error and using these Color Series blanks with these high frames, and I can tell you this blank has caught an incredible amount of fish. It's so old that these are actually black framed Alkanite Fujis. So if anybody's been paying attention, that's how old this rod build is, because we ain't had black framed Fuji Alkanites in a really long time.
Yeah, quite a long time.
All right, so now, real quick, leave that board up.
Oh, sorry.
Hang on. I know. It's a lot of shifting. Let me get the 1000 out here.
Yeah, and here's where we get back into the ultralight territory. For you guys that are using, those size 1000s for your panfish, your crappie, your trout, this is going to be a little more applicable to show off that. Looks like you got a 20 on there, but
I do.
But I think I know where you're going with it.
Yeah. Now remember, all manufacturers are a little bit different. So it might be a little tiny bit different. Whoa, hang on.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, we got our guide tubing going on here. So there's your 20. And that actually looks pretty good. Okay? It starts to get a little weird when we get out a little bit farther, but we can't see because of this ghoul's hand, right? So it's not too bad. This, to me, is a little high for this 16. But, again, we're dealing with a different manufacturer in a 1000. If it's me, I'm going to drop to a 16 here and adjust this distance. All right? It still looks good. But we always try to get away with smaller rings, smaller guides, and such. I would not necessarily put the 16 with the 35 or with the 2500, but we're dealing with a considerably smaller spool size. And let me show you here real quick. You can just like to set that down. You're good right there, Justin. See the spool size? It's much different. So in my opinion, we need to go to the 16. It's not always about height. We are always, so I wanted to show you that you could make it work with a 20, right? But in my opinion, if you can get away with a 16, you really should. Now, what we would do is, using the guide tubing, we would just pull that guide out. And as you're doing this kind of trial and error at the house, you can pull the 16 out, or pull the 20 out, and then you just put your 16 in like that. Then you're ready to go. Now you need to swap these out, but that's why they come in all these little, oh, that was the 20. I also believe that, and you'll notice this in guide spacing, you are probably, let me see what the difference was on this one.
Probably what, 10?
Yeah, looks
eight,
like a 10. This looks like a 12, and then that is probably a 10.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to leave that. I'm not going to do the last one.
Okay.
Still going to shoot it through there. Now this is where the guide tubing is like really, really nice to have. Yep, shot through the center there. Okay, cool. Yeah. That to me, we have almost maintained identical spacing. This could probably slide a little bit. It's also turned a little. We're still on spacing, but we've able to drop down to the 16. Don't pay attention to this guy out here. Drop down in spacing, and in sizing, I'm sorry. We've dropped down in sizing, which also means we've lightened the build overall. And this 16 is going to produce a smaller line coil because it's going to come off that 1000s. It's going to come out here, less likely to tangle, lighter weight. We really didn't have to do much with spacing though. Now, if we drop to the 500 size, you might have to do a little spacing adjustment. But that's why we trial and error it. So I love to give you guys like spacing suggestions, but I'm also somebody that's like, you cannot just assume that the spacing is right for everything. Because you saw with this guide spacing, we give you handle length measurements, rod length measurements, all different kinds of things. Pull that reel out of there real quick.
Sure.
And then finally, to sort of, for the final point, and then set that reel foot down on right there. Yeah, I'm going to stand this one up next to it. Whoop.
Stay there. Perfect.
Yep. You see that? Oh, let me get you over here a little bit. The angle of attack is a little different. You also notice that the center axis of the reel on this 3000. Now, granted, I understand that I am probably telling you like common sense stuff here because this is a 3000 and this is a 1000, but also see why we adjusted spacing. Let's see if I can stand in front of this a little better. There we go. Sorry, Hunter, I'm snuggling up to you over here.
You're good.
So the height of this reel is standing off of the rod blank more. It also looks like that this 1000 is a little bit sharper angle of attack. So, which I think the BG is also a little sharper. So we probably would not have had similar results using a 3000 Shimano with this 1000 Shimano because it looks like that their attack angles are different. So not only would we have adjusted in height wise and ring size, we would probably have to adjust spacing.
Yep.
So,
and this is a prime example. I mean, you guys saw the, the line, for the 20H guide set. There wasn't really anything wrong with that, right?
No.
It looked fine.
Right.
But we're building custom rods, right? We want to make sure we're trying our best to optimize these rod builds. And like Chris said earlier, if there's ever a chance for us to drop guide sizes and either achieve the same or even better performance, we want to do that because in almost every case, that's going to mean less weight in your overall guide train, which that's going to mean less weight on your custom rod in general, right? The less weight that we put on these custom rods, the better they're going to perform. So the 20H guide train, nothing wrong with that. But the 16H is just a better version because we're able to drop not only that stripper guide size, but also we dropped from I think a 12H on the second guide. We dropped from a 12H to a 10H. So
correct. And then also
the third
guide is a lower guide.
Yes. So at least 3 guides. Your first 3 guides are going to be different sizes. They're all 3 going to be smaller ring sizes than the 20H guide train. So. And at the end of the day, each one of those little bit of weight savings definitely will help out and help that rod perform, better at the end of the day. So, again, not that the 20H or even a 25H for that matter probably would have been just fine as well. But we're really trying to dial in these custom rods and help them perform as best as they can. Yeah. And again, that's why we put these guide kits together. And we show you guys that if you're using this size reel, the 1000 to the 2000 or whatever the recommendation is, use this guide kit. Or if you're using the 2500 to the 3000, use the 20H. We've done the testing. My dad, Bob, has spent hours and hours dialing in these guide trains, doing guide spacing on the deflection chart, so you guys can just hit a few clicks of the button and get that right guide set. So,
all right, let's give one away.
Cool.
What are we giving away? A mud hole or MHX fly rod blank of choice.
Yes.
And I will say, as a little asterisk, if you don't fly fish and you want an ultralight blank, I'll do that too.
Perfect.
Or you could just learn how to fly fish now that you have a rod.
Or that, absolutely.
Yep.
Always recommend picking up fly fishing if you've never tried it. It can be a little daunting, but it's not that hard. So
just gives you another reason to get aggravated and cuss at yourself.
Exactly.
And all that stuff.
Just one more frustration in the bank.
But I will say it can take you to beautiful places.
Gosh, and catch some beautiful fish on top of that.
Exactly.
All right, let's run it. Giveaway number 2, mud hole or MHX fly rod blank of choice. John R. Stand by for that last name, John R. We'll see if that is actually a middle name again or not. Stand by. If you are one of the lucky winners like Mr. Harry W. Dixon from earlier, make sure you email live, L-I-V-E, at mudhole.com to hook up with Chris and claim your prize. John Rogers. We got some easy, great names tonight.
Just layups.
John Rogers.
Just one layup after another.
Yeah. Don't worry. I'm sure the third one will be it'll be a doozy.
I hope so. All right. Let's go ahead. It's already 7:50. What is that? Did you not turn your phone off, Justin?
Somebody's calling in.
Oh, man.
Wait, do we have a
Hey,
caller?
dear, yeah, right. Justin's girlfriend, this is not the time to FaceTime him right now. If you want to be on the show, just ask. You don't have to FaceTime in.
We're doing some important stuff up here.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, is she real? Is she AI? What is that? Grandpa? Dude, we're rod building all ages out here. That's right. All right. So let's go over questions really quickly. Somebody asked, okay, here we go. Ninja, what if you have no idea what reel somebody is going to put on there?
That's a great question. And that's a practical question because it happens all the time.
Yes.
If you're building a rod and either you're building it for somebody or a family friend or it's a surprise gift and you just don't know what they're going to be using on it.
I will say, though,
Go for it.
if you don't know, we have the guide kits in the range. I can almost guarantee you that if you're building like more of an ultralight or more of something, that they're probably going to put a 500 or 1,000 on there. You're going to go with a 16. If they're going to go bass fishing, light inshore, and they're going to use a 2,500 or a 3,000, it's a 20. It just is.
Yep.
If you go to like maybe a 4,000 or a 5,000, it's going to be a 25. And if we're going to do a sailfish rod and we're going to be fishing a 6,000 or an 8,000, it's going to be a 30. And then honestly from there, between the guide spacing that we provide, if you know the first guide, the stripper guide, which I just gave you, and then you know your runners, you can literally take either a reel off the shelf that maybe you have, or if you don't have one, call customer service, or take and pull a string. And that will help you get things where they need to be. I can promise you, I know that we make this at times sound harder than it is. We all do it as rod builders. We do it as fly fishermen. We do it all the time. But trust me, you can make it work. Whether it's a 16, a 20, a 25, or a 30, there's gaps. There's not gaps in there. It's pretty cut and dry, and you'll get it better than the people at the factory built rods do. I can promise you, because you're spending more time to get it right. Let's see. Let me go over here. They said they had a great time at the advanced seminar. Hunter, I guess we should have been there.
Yes, we should have been there.
Do we have, is it the same time every year? Do you know this? That was one of the questions.
Traditionally, no. We've actually, traditionally, yes. We usually have it in the fall, but next year we're considering changing up that day a little bit. So stay tuned. We'll release that fairly soon.
Yeah. This is one that, I want to use some CRB spinning seats for fly rods. What do I use for a cap?
Go ahead, Chris.
Golly. So, for a really long time, and I'm looking at you, Fuji, and Angler's Roots. Bill. They used to make a cap, a really nice rubber vinyl. It's the same material that they made winding checks out of. And the cap went right in the backside of a spinning seat. A regular, like a DPSM or a standard barrel seat. Fuji, Bill, Angler's Resource. You got to make that happen again. Now, on the other hand, I am somebody that actually uses a fighting butt for every single fly rod I fish, even a 3-weight. I think you guys have seen it before. I take a little butt cap. I even put inletted a coin in it. I like putting a small little butt cap, like fighting butt. It helps from dinging up your reel seat, and you can use it when you use the spinning seat. What I would do is I would either get you some EVA foam or a cork ring, turn you down a little bit of a fighting butt, and put it in there. It's until I can convince Bill to make those caps again, because those were perfect. Make you a little fighting butt. I think you'd really actually like it. This is a really good question. What does everyone use to fill the hole on the male end of each blank section on a multi-piece fly rod?
Oh, that's a great question.
That is. They actually make like ferrule plugs. It's little like rubber toothpicks. Kind of looks like toothpicks, but it's a long tapered cone. And they have them in different sizes. No, we do not carry them. But I've also never used them, and everything's fine. The reason being that I don't think that they're necessary is when you are like putting your fly rod away in a rod bag, okay? You always put the fly rods in tip up, right? So you put tip up, then the next one tip up, tip up. So if you don't have anything in your male into your fly rod, and then for your butt section is always fighting butt up, so it's tipped down, right? You're never going to get water in there. Well, you really shouldn't be putting a fly rod away in your fly rod sock that is wet anyway. But those are two answers. You can get rubber ferrule plugs. They sell them. You just like force them in and you cut them off. Again, it's just like a tapered cone that's made out of rubber, or just don't use them at all and it's fine. Don't worry about it. Let's see. That's like, and we've had two. Wow, we've had two questions about that. Let's see. Yeah, who's going to do heated guides for next year's April's Fool thing? That's what we should do. I think we just need them. I don't think we need like.
That's not a joke.
I don't think we need April Fools. I think we just need them.
I think it's
right?
a great idea.
Let's see. If a person wanted a lightweight pan fishing rod using small jigs or bobber bait, would there be any advantage to using a fly blank versus an ultralight blank?
Another good question.
So it's been done a lot.
Definitely.
It's been done a lot. The only reason to do it would be reach. I forget what your dad calls it, but your dad calls like, is it dabbling or like?
Yeah, but probably has several different.
It's something. So
answers.
Bob used to like use fly blanks and like those real long salmon steelhead blanks, and because you're just like, if you're crappie fishing and you're just like out there and you just put your minnow in a hole, right? I think he called it dabbling.
Probably.
He says it better than I do. Yeah. But the only advantage would be, and I'm not saying not to do it, but the advantage would be for length, because you can take a 9-foot 5-weight and you can reach areas, or you can, be very precise in and around vegetation by just reaching out and dropping it in there than trying to have to cast a 5-6 ultralight, right? So that would be it. And yeah, you can do it. So yeah, that's what I would do. Let's see. This one, Jeff, I'm new to fly rod building. Could you explain how to find the weight on, say, a used fly rod? That one's going to be like an all-night one. Jeff, and I love having the answer. I would love to give you a really good explanation, but do me a favor and Google Common Sense, the CCS, Common Sense System of Fly Rods, because you can get the weight rating of a fly blank and the speed, which is called the action angle. So as the fly blank comes in it and it goes over, the amount of weight that it takes to deflect the fly blank by 1/3 of its length. And the reason it's called common sense is they use pennies. They take pennies, and it has to be a certain, like, prior to the year of pennies, and they put them in a bag, and as you hang those pennies, right, you deflect 1/3 of the length, and that weight of the pennies is then translated, I think, into grains. And then that's where you're going to get a grain weight, and then that grain weight is going to compare that to the AFTA fly blank rating. So for an 8-weight, I think it's 210 grain line. That 210 grains is the first 30 feet weight of a fly line that corresponds to an 8-weight. 210 grains. I think a 9-weight's like 290 or whatever. So 210 grains. It's going to deflect by 1/3, and then the action angle is down here on this. If it's like this, the angle is a lower number because you're actually using, like, compass protractor type thing. You're using a compass. So if it's like this is considered a slower fly blank. The action angle is going to be like a 75 because it's going to be moderate, right? It's going to bend like this. See, it's going to be real moderate. Rather than, let's say, something like a Sage Igniter or a Sage TCX or something from years ago. It's going to deflect a third of it. Jeez Louise. But then it's going to be like this out on the tip. That action angle is going to be very steep. It's going to be like 80. It won't be like 90, but it'll be like 85, 82, 86. That's going to mean that is a very fast or extra fast fly blank. So since I've lost everybody now, again, Jeff, go and Google common sense, the CSS on a fly blank.
CCS.
CCS. Yeah. They've done it in rodbuilding.org stuff. They've done it in Rod Builder Magazine.
There's so much information.
It's all over the place. You can get as wild with it as you want. Or if you have, like I do, like fly lines in every single weight, you just go out and see what line it throws the best, and you can be like, well, it doesn't matter if it's 5-weight or a 6-weight or a 7-weight. This is the line that it needs to throw on it, and that's what you throw on it from there.
That's a great point.
You can also do that. So anyway, I'll probably leave you with that because that was probably enough for one night. But yes, somebody, I think, did we put, Angler's Resource, rod ratings, but doodle socking. That's it.
Doodle socking.
That's it, Mike.
That's legit.
That's it. We had Todd said doodling. Mike said doodling. Mike Rathburn said doodle socking. That's it.
There you go.
Whoo! I'm telling you. I knew. We got 200 people in here. I knew somebody would know. All right. Cool. Well, Mike, doodle socking it is. I appreciate it. Mike, send me an email, live@mudhole.com. Please.
You're the winner of trivia
tonight. Yeah, please. I want to send you something. Yep, that's it. Let's do a final giveaway. Should we announce like the big secret before we do this?
Let's do the third giveaway. Then we'll do.
Don't leave. Look.
Don't leave. You got a big announcement.
If you don't win, don't run away. Because you're still going to be a winner, even if you don't win the. So go ahead.
All
Uncle
right.
Phil, run that.
Last giveaway, we're going to do an MHX traditional fly rod kit. Like I said earlier, we got them from 3-weight all the way up to 12-weight. So whatever weight you're looking for,
yep.
I bet you we got it.
Yep.
All right,
and
let's see.
if you just don't want the fly and you got to have the crappie one, we'll do the crappie kit too.
Theron M.
Oh.
Theron M. Almost put an M on Theron. Stand by for that last name, although I'm sure the one Theron in the chat right now probably knows he won.
Somebody said Chris is going to send you his doodle sock. You better watch out.
Theron Minkin.
All right.
That's
the best name of the night right there.
Ball. Yeah,
that's the
a
best
good one.
name of the
That's
night.
A good one.
All right, congratulations, Theron. But everybody's a winner tonight. Hunter, go ahead and take it away.
Let's do it. So the big announcement of the night is our pre-Black Friday sale has started. It's live on the website right now.
Right now.
And yes, we are still in October, but that's okay. We got a lot of deals coming up.
We said it was pre-Black Friday.
Pre-Black Friday, a month ahead of time.
It doesn't matter how far we go before it, we're there.
Yes, so this is one of 5 sales that we're doing for the pre-Black Friday sale. We're calling it the Stack and Save sale. These are going to be cumulative. So the first one that's active right now on the website is 25% off all American Tackle guides, guide kits, and tip tops. The entire range of American Tackle guides, guide kits, and tip tops.
It's almost like we showed the American Tackle guide kits tonight.
He's right
for
here.
A reason.
25% off the entire selection. And again, these are cumulative sales. This is part 1 of 5 that extends all the way through, I believe, early November. And these will continue to stack until the final sale will be live for a couple days, including all of the 1 through 5 as well. So anyway, This is going to be a several week process for our pre-Black Friday sale. It does start right now. You guys get first access because we love you so much. Thank you for watching. And, we appreciate you guys
we
watching
always,
us up here for 2 hours.
Right.
Hour
We
and a half.
always try to make sure that our live audience gets the good stuff first.
Yes, exactly. First dibs on the sale. So we're stocked up pretty good on these guides, guide kits, and tip tops. But
Yeah.
take advantage now.
Better get them.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because
yes,
when I was pulling those down there tonight, there's a pretty good amount.
Oh yeah, we're stocked up.
And
But-
they come in light, bunch of different colors, it's
Oh yeah, titanium guides, nanolite, duralite, guide kits, tips.
we have
you
like
name
micro versions of that. Oh, we got a ton of
it,
stuff.
everything.
So,
So
yeah, awesome.
take advantage of that. And again, this stack and save sale. Who named that?
I can't get out of my head. They did like a funny little graphic. The graphics department in the Thunderdome is undefeated for sure. And they did a funny one of Kevin with a big stack of pancakes. And I just cannot get it out of my head. I've
All
been thinking
joking
about
aside,
him just all day.
Yeah, a little bit of a tongue twister there, but stack and save sale. Look out every couple days. We're going to drop a new one, and again, they're all cumulative. They all stack up until the last one will be live for a couple days through November. So anyway, next show topic.
The next show topic is, we always try to end the year on a high note and a big note, and the big note is the Big Finish show. So we know that rod finish can be, it's kind of a make or break.
Mm-hmm.
We know that people have a lot of questions. We're constantly getting new products. Like now we have Gen 5, we're constantly having new tools made and techniques done and things like that. So we always want to end the year with finish. We know it can be something that is easy to some, tough for others. We just want to make sure that you're getting the best possible finish on your custom rod builds as possible. And that is going to be in December. You will not see live, because we're doing it every other month. You will not see a November live. But it is going to be in December. What is the date on that, Uncle Phil? It's like the 16th or something?
16th sounds right.
Is it? Let me look. I usually don't have my phone on set, but we were doing graphics tonight with it. So it will be, yes, December 16th.
Perfect.
So that is Tuesday, December 16th. That is going to be episode, I think, 127, all about finish. And so bring your questions for that. If you have, any of that stuff, we'll be showing a bunch of different items from heating and Gen 5 to Pro Coat, why you use high build, when I use it, when he doesn't use it, what is low build, what's medium build. We're going to talk about all those things.
Lots of pro tips,
Yeah.
lots of don'ts. I love the
don'ts.
We love to cover the do's, but the don'ts are almost more important.
Because we can booger some stuff up, and I want to show you how to do it. So anyway, thank you to everybody in the war room tonight. We got to get out of here. Justin's got to call his grandfather back. And thank you for the Zoom cam tonight, sir. Uncle Phil was on the 1s and 2s. Of course, my left-hand man, Hunter McCamey, and I'm Chris Adams. We will see you for the last show of 2025 in December. Thank you guys very much for watching, and go shopping. Get after it. It's pre-Black Friday now. We'll see y'all next time.
That's it. Thanks for watching.
See ya.